Alright, now we're going to remove this transmission pan real quick. I only got 4 bolts because I took all the rest of them out when I did the draining the fluid. I already loosened them up. We'll pop them out. Me, I take them and throw them all in the bucket because I just know where they all go. If you're a first time taking something apart, you probably shouldn't do that. You probably should like organize pan bolts, housing bolts, everything organized. But me, I figured out put new bolts. I got it all. It's not a big deal. Gasket came apart. There's not very much metal in it. It looks a little dark, but it's not very much metal at all. Let's get our filter off here really quick. I use the impact to take it off, but I won't use the impact to put them back on. Built transmission, but it has a fabric filter on it. That's not a good sign. Kick down switch. We're going to be getting rid of that. Don't need that no more. Let's go ahead and pop this valve body really quick. Those are 1/2 inch. Probably could use a 12. I'm just tossing all these pieces inside the actual transmission pan. Shift their linkage. Let's see. You got it loose. We're gonna go ahead and so we can pop these lines out. Those go to the governor. We're not gonna be using that anymore either. Piece right here was on here for the kick down switch, which we're not going to be using anymore as well. We'll just toss it in our pan. Let's take a quick look at this valve body. Our shift. like it's in pretty good condition. We're gonna be reusing this, so we're gonna make sure we don't mess it up. These are pretty much trash now. And we're gonna be taking this out. Well, we got our new valve body, so separate the plate. Oh my God. So I'm gonna take this on out, put it to the side, let it soak for a minute, and then I'll compare it to, not let it soak, correction, clean it up, and then I'll compare it to the reverse manual when I go to install it. Let's continue as far as we can before we gotta go. This freaking solenoid. Alright, let's separate the plates, pop off. Nice and easy. Now we see our inside. You can see the check balls. We got one here, one there, and one here. One in the center. Alright, what we're gonna do is we're gonna be eliminating. Let's take this out. Take a look at it. Oh, yeah, cool. We'll get that in a second. So I would take these out, these balls out right now, before you do anything else. And we're gonna go ahead and actually we're gonna go ahead and call it a day because I gotta eat dinner. But we'll be back. This is what we have. So we got everything out that we need to take out, all the way down to the center support, because we got to do a mod to the center support. We took that all out, the pump, high gears, second gear, clutch packs, all that stuff. The valve body's off. Took this off, took out the speedo. We're gonna pop this governor off next. We got everything up here on my workbench, somewhat organized. You got your pump together. I'm not taking it apart because there's no reason. Well, actually, I do got to replace that spring, so I will be getting it in there, but we'll get to that later. Then we took off a high gear, which is like third gear. Then you got your second gear clutches. Then you got your center support, which we're going to be removing some of these. I think this one right here. You got your servo housing, everything in the back is stuff that we're not using anymore. Alright, let's keep on at it. Alright, here we go. Now, we didn't got everything out of it. Got down to the stage where we're ready to start cleaning it up and putting it all back. So, we're going to remove this spring and the little piston, and then we're going to discard this. I'm going to go over everything that's strictly for the reverse manual valve body, not a complete rebuild, even though while we're in here we're going to do that, but I'm not doing a whole video of that. There's tons of those. This is only strictly for a reverse valve body install. Right, this is what we had to get to right here. So per the instructions for TCI, we need to remove this second sealing ring right here. We're gonna probably install new ones, but when we go to install the new ones, we're gonna make sure we don't install this one. That's the whole reason why we had to take it all apart, is to get in here, to get this ring per their instructions, and I'm gonna do it per their instructions, so there's no possible way there's any kind of issues. Now, we're gonna remove and discard that. Number one. Now we're gonna do this ring. Remove this, or don't include it when you put your new, depending on what you're going through. I looked through my clutches and my steels, they look pretty good, but we're here, so we're gonna go through that, replace them since we're here. I'm not gonna include that in the video, so I'm only trying to include the things that we need to do, only for the reverse manual valve body. Then I'm gonna pop this. I gotta get the spring out and replace it, even though it definitely has been replaced whenever they build it. I don't know exactly what the pressure is, I don't know. So since we don't know, we're gonna put the kit, what was in the kit, we're gonna use everything from the kit just to make sure we do it exactly the way they recommend. Then we'll put all our new seals on and we're gonna put it all back together. We went in, we're gonna discard this band. So in the taking out process, first thing you're gonna discard is this. You're gonna take it out, they say discard it. Next thing you're gonna do is remove this piston with the spring. Where are we gonna put it? Which is this guy. You're gonna remove that guy. Next thing you're gonna do on your center support, we're gonna remove the second sealing ring, or don't include it when you're installing new ones. The next thing we're gonna do is we're gonna get into this pump, pulling that spring out, swapping it out, and we'll continue. Alright, so we're gonna pop this off. Try to do this with one hand. We're gonna pop off this second ring right here. Right, we have the second seal off. Throw it in our little strap band down there. So now we installed, already replaced this one, remove the second one, replace the third one, replace the fourth one. Now we're gonna make sure this bad boy's clean, go over all the parts, make sure everything is good to go, lube it up, and we're gonna slide this bad boy back inside the transmission after we do our rest of our seals and everything we got to do. But we'll be back strictly reverse valve body install. Alright, here we go. This is our next mod for this full reverse manual valve body. Popping this out right here, swapping the spring out. It's in like this, and you got the C-clip on the end. All you got to do is put a little pressure on it. Get your snap ring pliers, pull this C-clip out, and slowly release the pressure. You got this piece right here that goes in the inside. It's going to go in this cap. For when you assemble it, you'll put a little grease in there, put this back in, hold it in place, and put it back together. So what we're going to do is we're going to pop the spring out. You have on this one, I have two shims for some reason. Yeah, this piece that goes on the top of the spring, assists in the spring. We'll assemble it in a second. Then you got the valve, the piston, whatever you want to call it itself. So what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and get our new spring from our kit. Alright, so what we're going to do is old spring, here's the kit, take the new spring out. Oh, it's definitely stiffer. I can feel it. All right, so we're gonna toss our old spring. Now we're gonna set this up. We're gonna dip the spring in some grease. Put this piece on. Slide our valve in here. Slide on our 2 shims that was there. Just like that. We're going to take the top of that and dip it in some grease as well. So make sure this bad boy stays center. Put it in there like that. Slowly release this bad boy. Alright, so then slowly release this and make sure it's seated properly. Alright, so then we got this bad boy installed. We're going to check this bad boy, check this pump, go over everything really quick, get it installed, and we'll move on to the next mod, strictly for the reverse valve body. Okay. This is the high or 3rd gear drum, and I took it off with some C-clamps, so you don't have to have a special tool. Compress this outer ring right here. I don't know the proper terminology for it, but we compress this, and then we're able to remove that C-clip. Pop the C-clip off, and then you can take this off. We can remove these springs really quick. Then we can remove these clutches. Inspect them. See if I can get them up out of here with one hand. Alright, and then this is the mod we're looking for. I can see one seal is either it was put in rough and it got cut, but the mod we're looking for this go around is this seal right here. We need to remove this seal so we can actually pressurize this whole thing instead of just pressurizing the smaller surface. So we're going to remove this seal. Let's see if I can get a little screwdriver. And get in here. Pop this guy out. And we won't put this one back in. We will replace this one. It's all damaged. Look like it was cut whenever they put it in there. So we'll replace this one and just pop that one out. And that's our whatever mod it is, but that's another mod we got to do. Then we'll reassemble this, check our clutches, put new racing clutches or whatever we want to do with that, and we'll move on. Alright, so we remove these 2 seals right here. This seal we're going to replace. The gasket we're going to replace. We're going to clean the servo up. get it ready, remount it on the transmission, and then we're gonna move on to our next mod. We're gonna reuse these springs too. Reuse the springs. Only thing we're doing is eliminating these two per the kit. For the instructions for the reverse valve body, we're gonna go ahead and do this because we're already here. So that's what we're gonna do. All right. So the next mod, we already did the rear servo. Took the springs off there, got that all set up to go back in. The next mod they give is, where the heck is it? Right here. Inside the kit, you got these two check balls. One check ball, 1/4 inch. They look like they're both 1/4 inch, but let's get the one check ball out. Alright, so they're both 1/4 inch. That's with the kit, so it's easy. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna take one of those and this accumulator pump down in there. Right there. There's a drain plug. We're gonna put that check ball in there with a punch. We're gonna jam it in there to fill it. What I recommend doing is grab it like a boat or something like this. If you're doing it in a position with a transmission like this, something that this hole right here, you can just drop, cover the hole so there's no way you could drop that check ball in there at all. And then you take it and get it around to the spot where it's supposed to be. Then we'll grab our punch, angle the transmission up, and we'll jam it in there really quick. And then go to the next mod. Alright, the next thing, after we got our check ball in there and our drain, we're gonna check this, make sure it's good and flat, clean it up, file it, flat sand it, whatever you gotta do to get it ready to reinstall the cover and gasket wherever you got, put it back on there. We'll do that right quick right now, and then we'll go ahead and go to the next one. All right, to our last mod. There's another check ball in the kit. There's a check ball and there's a spring. Check ball and then there's a spring. Well, this is not the last mod. There's a check ball and there's a spring. We're gonna take the spring and put it right here next to our center support, right in here. You can tell because it's next to this bolt hole, and this circuit is over here. So we're gonna put this spring right in here, right into that bore. If we can get if I can get down in there, maybe. I can't. I can see it good. Oh, maybe right there. We can get it right down in there. We're gonna take the spring, drop it in. Then we're gonna take our check ball, drop it right on top of the spring, just like that. Spring in first, ball on top. Then we're gonna get a measurement from the top of the check ball to the top of the surface. It needs to be 1/8 of an inch or 125. So we're gonna check that out. It has to be and it's exact to say it's very important for this to be 1/8 of an inch. So we're gonna check that. Then we're gonna get back. All right. So more than likely, you're gonna have to take a Dremel and cut the spring and get it lower to get to that 1/8 that they asked for for to the top of the surface from the ball. It makes sense because they're going to provide a longer spring to cut for the ones that are a little bit longer or deeper, versus they're not going to provide a shorter spring that's going to fit them all perfect. So you're going to most likely, 9 times out of 10, you're going to end up having to cut the spring with a Dremel grinder or whatever you got to get it to where you're going to reach that 1/8 that they recommend and put it inside this right next to your center support. Now we're going to move on to the next mod. Another thing we're going to do, it's not in the instructions or nothing, but you got this wire that goes to your kick down switch. What we're going to do is we're going to remove this, keep it intact. If we add a trans brake, we could utilize this and just make it for our trans brake. So we're just going to leave this in there, pull this wire out so it's not loose dangling, get caught up in nothing. And then we'll go ahead and get ready to install our valve body. Alright, we're going to go and install our separator plate. If it moves around, all we gotta do is take a little bit of grease, dab it in the blank areas, just a little bit. Or you can always use guide pins, that works. I'll use a little bit of grease, line them up. Just like that. Press it down, make sure it's good to go. And we'll take our next one. Go ahead and put a little grease on it, just a tad bit, in the areas without the bolt holes, or it really doesn't matter. Just enough to hold it, get it sticky. We'll put it right on top of here, line it up perfectly, and then press it down. Now we have our clean plate, actual valve body, excuse me. Line that up. Let's drop this bad boy down. Screw it in place, get them all started. Do a little hand tightening real quick. Make sure we line this our shifter up so this is all lined up when you drop the plate on. Rest of our bolts. Now we're going to go ahead and torque these down really quick. Move on to the next step. Phoenix is local. I got the kit, but it came with the paper filter, so I had to go back because it's local. It was easy. I had to stop by today and grab this filter, which doesn't have that paper going throughout of it. What it has, if you can see in there, is that screen mesh right there. That is what's inside of it, which is high flow, is what we need. So we're gonna go ahead and install this bad boy. Blue and Mr. Chevelle. We got the transmission all done. Went through it, freshened it up, put our TCI reverse valve body on it, full manual. Did all the mods they spec'd out in their instructions specifically, and we're gonna put fluid in it. Psych, we're gonna put it in the car, get it all suited up, torque converter on it, put fluid in it, get it mounted, and then what we're gonna do per their instructions, what you should do anyway when you do a transmission swap or a rebuild, put the rear tires in the air, run it through the gears, fill it with fluid, make sure everything checks out first before you even do anything else. Don't chance driving it down the street while it slips or something like that because the fluid's wrong. Let's do it right, go through all the gears, do that process. We'll be back. All right, Blue and Mr. Chevelle, we got the transmission installed per their instructions. Jack up the back of it, got it in the air. We already put in 4 quarts. I put in 5. It says, instruction says 4 quarts trans fluid. I put in 5 just to get it in the torque converter. And I put a little bit inside the torque converter right before I installed it. Now, we put it in neutral, turn it on, let it run for a little bit. Then we go from neutral to first gear, second gear, and then finally to third gear. We bring it up to 2,000 RPMs. It could bind a little bit, and you might have to add more fluid as you go through the gears. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna go through the gears really quick. I already added some fluid, and then I'm gonna go through the process really quick and shift the gears to the third gear and add fluid as needed. Okay, so that's all done. With their instructions, it tells you to hit the brakes, go through the gears. As you go through the gears, only first gear, second gear had no issues. By the time I got the third gear, it bind a little bit, so then I had to put it back in gear. I went and checked the fluid again, and it was low, so I added more fluid. Then you go through the process again till it stops binding, and as you go through it, it'll take all the fluid out, and then you'll just keep topping off the fluid. Try not to fill it. That's the reason why you want to do it in stages compared to just putting 9 or 8 quarts in there and seeing if that's the right amount. So it's better just to do it in the stages as recommended. Put it in, and now we're ready to put this bad boy on the ground and go roast some tires.